Hello and welcome to the podcast, Get Rich Without Being a Bitch. And I'm Vanessa Shaw, your host for this journey that we're going to be taking on. Listen, I feel like we're going to be covering some really important topics, especially if you are a woman in business, you want to create wealth on your own terms, and you want to live richly without burning out. In this podcast, I'm going to be sharing topics, strategies, mindset changes that are going to help you shatter glass ceilings, challenge stereotypes, and frankly, be the best version of you so that you can define life and live it on your terms. Welcome. Please make sure you hit subscribe so you don't miss any episodes. Hey superstars, welcome to this next episode, all about giving yourself permission. One of the things I am really committed to doing on this podcast is keeping things honest, raw, and real, even if at times I don't feel comfortable with it. And I want to share a little bit of the backstory of my own permission slip that I really had to give to myself. You see, this is a relaunch of this podcast. You're going to see that there were already a bunch of episodes. I started it a few years ago, and a whole load of things happened in the meantime. Here was the thing. I launched without a real plan for how I wanted the podcast to be. And I started to realize that I was going down a track of having conversations that I actually wasn't that excited about. I was going to be talking about content and doing interviews that weren't exactly what I wanted to be doing. They weren't so far away, but something was feeling off. I think you probably get that when just things are out of alignment, slightly inauthentic, and then the energy starts to be lacking. And it just started to feel like hard work. Well, then what happened is the pandemic hit. And I don't think anybody came unscathed through the pandemic. I always remember my therapist saying that to me at the time, just those exact words. Because I did end up in therapy the first time in my life, because my whole world started to fall apart. There were just so many things that shifted and changed in a pretty negative and brutal way that caused me to question everything. I had a lot of family breakdowns. A lot of my, ideas around family had to change. Like the details really aren't important, but what's important was the impact on me. And with all of these changes that I was left questioning, I honestly lost my voice. I literally lost my voice. And every time I started to stress out about re-recording a podcast episode as I was getting behind, my voice just literally wouldn't show up. And of course, I got a couple of bouts of COVID as well, and those other things happened in the time. And before I knew it, the months were slipping by. The thing that I started to realize is that I had to give myself permission. I had to give myself permission to actually take a big break, to start to do things differently, to take the stress off, to actually say, you know what? I launched something. It's not exactly how I wanted it to be. That's okay. And at some point in the future, I can relaunch. So that's what we're doing right here. And it's going to be very different. It's going to have a very different vibe to it. But I share that story because honestly, my permission slip took way longer than I anticipated. In my mind, I was taking a year off. I actually haven't looked to see just how long I've taken off from podcasting, but let me tell you, it's longer than a year. And I think as women, sometimes we just put so much pressure on ourselves to perform, to keep to our promises. We've said something, now we have to follow through. And we can start to disconnect from our bodies and our emotional self and what's really happening. I started to operate from shoulds as opposed to operating from what I really wanted to do and my deeper desires. So if you're listening in today, the message that I want you to hear is, what permission slip do you really want to be writing to yourself? Is it a permission slip to burn everything down that you're currently doing? Perhaps it is. Sometimes women say that to me in business. They've just built something and they're so misaligned with it, they feel like they need to tear it all down and start again. Is it a permission slip to do a pivot, to start to do something new in your business, to be more authentically you? Is it a permission slip, frankly, to take a break and to really take a pause? But whatever it is, ask yourself that question. If somebody else could write you a permission slip, what do you secretly wish would be on it? I wish that somebody had just said, Vanessa, take a break. You've really gone through a lot. It's been more than many people handle in the relative short time frame that I was handling it. And I just wish I had that person that would have not acknowledged me and given me that permission, because it took me way longer by myself to get there.